Hi there guys, this is Cassandra. I'm a Riffle in Time and I'm so glad you're here. Today I want to do one of my ways I work with my decks and how I create spreads based off of my deck that I'm using, or I guess kind of the energy I'm feeling, because a lot of the times I will pick a deck based off of how I'm feeling and kind of go from there. And so today it was really big feeling kid energy, and I was just thinking of some of those really core feelings that you feel as a child that I feel like are probably some of the harder ones to feel as an adult. So I pulled out the Playful Heart because anytime I'm doing work with my inner child, or kind of anything that feels in the realm of feeling small or things like that. I also use it for a lot of joy stuff too, because it is really joyful, but it always helps me put a different perspective on things, and I really love to use it for that. So I was thinking of kind of how out of control things can feel, and out of your reach, and unfair and frustrating, and kind of was the vibe of how I was just thinking of being a child. And as an adult, the things that feel unfair or out of your control or out of your reach, those I feel are the most frustrating things to feel as an adult too. One of the things that will always get my if I'm gonna tear up and get really frustrated about something, it's because it's unfair. And I think that's just the most inner child feeling I can remember, is things feeling unfair. And again, it's just because so much is out of your control, and so much is so hard to be a little person in a really big world. So today I was thinking of centering kind of my spread around that. So I am going to get my journal out, because if you don't know already, I love to journal, especially with my cards. That's one of my favorite times to journal. So I'm gonna pull out my supplies, and it doesn't have to be any fancy things if this is your first time here. I do have some markers and pens, but that's about as fancy as I get. I'm gonna pick this kind of sweet pink color, and I'm gonna put my inner child feelings, maybe. The big feelings spread. This is just off the top of my head, so if someone already has something named anything like that, I'm not trying to obviously copy anyone's anything. This is just how things feel. And I like this blue and pink, kind of maybe some yellow vibe. And just inner child feeling spread. Let's do, I think I kind of want to use that idea of feeling. So what to do when things feel unfair. And then let me find sweet pink and a sweet blue. Honestly, I think I might actually do these in marker, and then I'll write in pen. So what to do when things feel unfair. what to do when things feel out of your control. And what to do when things feel out of your reach. I like that. Okay. And let me use, I think I used like the bright yellow, like the neon yellow instead. Okay. I like that. So we're going to pull some cards. What to do when things feel unfair, what to do when things feel out of your control, and what to do when things feel out of your reach. The Lover's card was just sitting on the desk. I think that's, we're gonna investigate why that was there. Honestly, that feels kind of like giving yourself like love, some grace, some love, some gentle. So if you're feeling like things are unfair or out of your control or out of reach, you're feeling big feelings, the first thing you can do is give yourself love. Hold your inner child in that moment and be like, I see you and I love you, and that's really hard. And so what do we do when things feel unfair? Unfair. What do you do when things feel out of your control? And what do you do when things feel out of your reach? Okay. Whew. Reverse Tower. We have the Five of Pentacles, which was kind of doing this little sideways bob, but I want to look at it. And we have the Knight of Cups. So the Reverse Tower, what do you do when things are unfair? The Tower feels like really big, like upheaval energy for me. Always, it always feels like things burning down to like be born anew, and it's really hard in a Tower moment to like see that and feel that and hear that. And maybe with the reversed of the Tower is like not letting yourself get caught up in the unfairness of it. Don't get yourself swept away in the thoughts that like this is so unfair. This is, you know, and like, because you really can kind of lean into that vibe and like really spiral out if you want. And this does feel like, if you're here, we'll turn them right side up. They look like they're really like, again, just falling out of control here. There's flames, like fanning the flames almost kind of vibes, like with the arms. And I think it is really helpful to acknowledge that, yes, this is unfair, but what is the reality of the situation? This is Reverse Tower. So maybe here is like, is everything actually on fire? Or do I feel on fire? Am I on fire and feeling this big reaction because like I'm triggered by that unfairness? Or is there actual like dire situation? If there's a fire, what do? You don't just like scream and cry and run around saying this is unfair that things are on fire. You get a plan, you get yourself out. So it feels like one of those, like, if things feel unfair, like, acknowledge, like, yes, this feels unfair, but what can I do? What in this reality can I do about this? Is this all feelings, or is this a situation that I can problem solve, attack? Is there something I can do and maybe gain some of the next thing, control? What to do when things feel out of control? And 5 of Pentacles here is really, it's really it. But something I really like about this is you see like the person trying to pull the like crying. So like you have one child here and then one child crying and like trying to pull them along. And what do you think feel out of control is maybe in this sense you could let someone else take the lead. If there's someone there to take the lead, maybe you have to, and if this is an inner child, if it's just you, maybe you have to kind of acknowledge the part of you that feels out of control, again, your inner child, and be like, this is really overwhelming and this is really hard, but let me help you. And talk to yourself is like, I am in control of my body. I'm in control of my choices and my reactions. Remind yourself of the things you are in control of, and maybe kind of lead yourself out of that out of control situation. Make choices that you do have control over, and don't just let yourself sit in that uncontrollable space and in those big emotions. It's okay to have big feelings, but also sometimes that out of control feeling, when things feel out of control, there are small things in your physical reality that you can have control over that can help you feel more grounded. I mean, you're sitting on the ground here, maybe do a grounding ritual. But this is definitely, maybe like a guided meditation would be cool. This definitely feels like leading yourself out of that uncontrolled space. And then, what do we do when things feel out of our reach? And I think this is really cool because we're like sitting on this, is this supposed to be an antelope? I'm not sure. It's on the beach too, so I'm not sure. But this feels like chin up. There's like some kind of like radiance vibes there. There's like, what do you do when things feel out of your reach? Like, find a way to lift yourself higher. Find a way to like keep your head up and keep moving in that direction. Something that can maybe bridge that gap for you. Find things that, so a lot of times when I get the feeling of things being out of reach, that could be like a job, a home, it's like usually a physical thing that feels out of reach for me, or what have you. Like maybe it's something as like, because this would also be out of your reach and out of your control, like followers on, like, say you're trying to promote your business or something, because those are things that in my physical reality, what small things can you do to lift yourself up higher? And instead of like looking down at your current situation, what can you do to look up and like move towards the future situations? What's, again, these all, like with big feelings, I feel like making little steps can really help bridge the gap. And I have ran my head against the wall enough times of like, when I want something again that just feels out of my reach, what little things can I do every day that feel like they're going in that direction? We've talked a lot about kind of like reinvesting the energy into those kind of things and taking them from things that are going in different directions. So this definitely feels really directional, and this feels like an uplift kind of card. Like, how can you uplift yourself and the others around you? This is like a cheers to what you have done. So maybe things in your current reality feel out of reach. Think of all the things, like the people of, like versions of yourself before who felt what your current reality is was out of reach for them. And like maybe kind of just like acknowledge that. Maybe that's what we're cheersing to, is the moment like you're in right now where your future feels so out of reach for you. You've been there before, and here you are now. You are in the place that you were trying to get to before. So maybe it is like a sitting in or on the success of it, as of what this is. And again, just keep making small steps towards the future. Move in the right direction, and that's all you can do. And really remind yourself again of like the things that you have accomplished, the things that you have that were once out of reach for you. And this feels like a really good theme around it, because all of that feels like really loving, supportive energy for yourself, like giving yourself and your inner child the love that maybe you would want from someone else. You don't need it just from other people though. You need it, I think, usually most importantly first from yourself, and then everybody else gets to be a little treat. If you are giving yourself the love and support and like nourishment and care that you are asking for, you're also showing other people the way that you want to be loved and cared for, is like really be the example of the things that you want. And it's kind of like, I like to make it a little act of kind of telling the universe is like, this is how I want to be cared for. This is how I want to be loved. This is what I will accept from others. And that feels really nice too. But I want to write all this down. I want to watch this video back because I want to write all that down, because that actually felt super helpful. It felt super helpful. And I know that traditionally, like, these cards mean other things. So you know me, I'm always going to take the dome, like right off the top of the head, the intuitive read off of that. Like I also will like think about things like how the tower is, you know, I do consider that, but I really like to take what the cards are saying, because I picked this deck of all of the decks I have, and it's like I found that deck would be the most helpful, and then I pulled these cards specifically. So it's like there's no other deck the cards are presented exactly like this. So I really want to read into that, into the specificity. I'm just making up stuff now. That was delightfully helpful. I love you. We're having a short little one today. That was like, do you know sometimes when like you end up just randomly getting really focused energy? Like that felt like, I don't even know what I said, but it was good.